All right, let's call the meeting to order. Our town council, regular council meeting will be Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. Before we do the invocation, you might see that we're missing a council person today. Councilman Law's daughter, she's a senior, and she has her last volleyball game. So one thing that if you don't know about Jay is his family is very important to him. He has great kids, and I don't blame him a bit. I do the same thing. But I think I can say from all of us, go Cavs tonight. All right, our invocation will be by Jericho Nelson, pastor of Macedonia Christian Church.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for gathering us here this evening where we can gather as a community to reflect the love that you have for us. Father, I thank you for all our council members here who care for this community. I thank you for everybody a part of our community here tonight. I pray that this meeting is an act of glory to you. Father, I pray that we can leave here looking more like you in our community, being a holistic place for people to grow up, people to flourish, and to live in your image, Lord. I thank you and praise you. So we pray. Amen.
Amen. Our pledge of allegiance will be done by Council Member Kitts.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chief Mixon, we have a special presentation.
Mayor, Town Council, sorry to take up a little bit of your time tonight. I have a couple of things. First, I got some new hires that I'd like to introduce to the mayor and the Town Council with Officer Abatantiano, Rawls, Browning, and Girton. Lieutenant Girton, please come up. That's good. Mayor, Town Council, I'd like to introduce Michael Abatantiano, Brandon Rawls, Adam Browning, and Lieutenant Ryan Girton. Officer Abatantiano, sorry, I have to really think about his name, is joining us from another law enforcement agency, just shy of 2 years of experience. He's completed an associate's degree from Trident Technical College, served a stint in the United States Coast Guard. He has joined us and will be assigned as an SRO to the alt school. So, Brandon Rawls, many years of law enforcement experience, 5 as a matter of fact, joins us from another law enforcement agency as well. He will be assigned to the Berkeley High School as another SRO up there. And a little fact about Officer Rawls, he recently learned that he can't cook rice in a glass dish. Adam Browning is another experienced law enforcement officer that joins us from another agency. He comes to us with 21 years experience. He holds an associate's degree and served time in the Army Reserves. Officer Browning will be joining us as an SRO at the middle school. And then Lieutenant Girton, another one of our more experienced officers, joins us with prior law enforcement experience. He holds a bachelor's degree in Christian ministry. He currently leading our criminal investigations division as the lieutenant over that unit. So please welcome our 4 new people.
All right, welcome.
And then Mayor, Town Council, I have a few recognition awards that I'd like to do. I'll do Sergeant Breen and Officer Harger. So I'm going to read this one, and well, actually, I'll provide you with a little backstory on this one. Officer Harger and Sergeant Breen initially responded to a driver that was suffering from a little emotional and mental health crisis. Officer Harger was up on Highway 52 conducting traffic enforcement, initiated a traffic stop on the vehicle. During that traffic stop, the driver became emotionally and mentally challenged during the traffic stop, made numerous comments about wanting his death to come about, and made comments about running out into traffic and wish he'd get hit by a car. So I'll read this. It says, in recognition of their swift, coordinated, and compassionate response, Sergeant Daniel J. Breen and Officer Tommy D. Harger Jr. are commended for their life-saving actions during a critical incident involving a distressed individual threatening self-harm. Upon arrival, Officer Harger maintained control of the driver's door to prevent the individual from exiting the vehicle and entering traffic with Sergeant Breen's support. They attempted to detain the individual under emergency protective custody for his safety. When the individual attempted to flee into traffic on Highway 52, Sergeant Breen intervened by grabbing his shirt, preventing a potentially fatal outcome. Officer Harger then secured the individual's leg, allowing Sergeant Breen to safely escort him to the ground. Together, they maintained control, ensured the individual's safety was safely detained without injury. Following the physical interaction, Officer Harger engaged the individual in calm, empathetic conversation, learning that he was overwhelmed by personal stress and had contemplated suicide. While Officer Harger provided emotional support, Sergeant Breen conducted a search of the vehicle, confirming no weapons were present. Sergeant Breen then blocked both lanes on Highway 52 with his patrol vehicle to assure the scene was safe, while Officer Harger transported the individual to Trident Main Emergency Hospital for further evaluations. Their actions reflect not only tactical skills and professionalism, but also deep compassion and commitment to preserving life. Sergeant Breen and Officer Harger brought honor to themselves and to the Moncks Corner Police Department. Their actions exemplify courage, empathy, and the highest standards to public safety, and we proudly recognize them both with a life-saving award.
Ooh.
Thank you, sir.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. I got two more. With Officer Greer. So for this one, Mayor, Town Council, we recognize Officer Greer as Officer of the Third Quarter. I'll read this citation. It says, during the third quarter, the School Resource Officer Unit operated at just 1/3 capacity due to injuries, transfers, and promotions. Amid the 66% staff shortage, PFC Lucas S. Greer consistently stepped up to meet the moment. As the sole SRO at the high school of approximately 3,000 students, he not only maintained coverage, but also supported temporarily personnel by assisting with paperwork, coordinating weekly reports, and responding to calls across multiple campuses. He arrived early to assist with middle school traffic, stayed late to ensure supporting events were staffed, and played a key role in developing and distributing operational plans for Berkeley County athletics. PFC Greer's proactive leadership and tireless work ethic have been instrumental in guiding his unit through this challenging period. His coordination with the high school athletic director, management of officers, scheduling, and unwavering commitment to service reflect a deep sense of responsibility and pride. PFC Greer has brought honor to himself and to the Moncks Corner Police Department. His actions exemplify dedication, resilience, and the values we strive to uphold. We proudly recognize him as Officer of the Third Quarter 2025.
You're the man.
Thank you, sir.
be my last one. Sergeant Turner. You would. So, this is for the Moncks Corner Police Department Supervisor of the third quarter, as presented to Andrew B. Turner. As a supervisor of the third quarter, Sergeant Andrew B. Turner is recognized for his outstanding initiative and dedication in revitalizing and leading the Moncks Corner Police Department Field Training Officer Program by stepping up and taking charge. He ensured that one of the department's most critical training pillars remained strong, consistent, and deeply impactful. His commitment to excellence has directly shaped the development of our newest officers, laying the foundation of professionalism, preparedness, and pride that we carry forward to the years to come. Beyond his leadership in the FTO program, he has distinguished himself as a trusted mentor and role model. His guidance, patience, and unwavering support have helped shape the next generation of law enforcement professionals, instilling confidence, fostering growth in every recruit he encounters. His influence reaches far beyond training. He strengthens our department's future and reflects the very best in what it means to serve Moncks Corner. Through his leadership, mentorship, and unwavering dedication, he has brought honor to himself and to the Moncks Corner Police Department. His actions exemplify the values we hold dear: service, integrity, and commitment to building a stronger, safer community. We proudly recognize Sergeant Turner as the supervisor of the third quarter for 2025.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mayor, Town Council, that's all I have. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I think it's very important that we do these at town council meetings, you know, not only for us up here, but for the citizens of the town of Moncks Corner, so they can see the exceptional women and men that we have that work for the town. So thank you very much. Approval of minutes, regularly scheduled meeting minutes, September 16th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Mayor's report. On 9/17, I went to a ribbon cutting for Low Country Health Brokers. Councilman Dennis and Councilwoman Lloyd was also in attendance. 9/19, I spent several hours at the Tidal Wave charity event for the Miracle League. I was out on the road waving signs, trying to get people in. I want to thank the recreation team, police, fire departments for showing up to raise funds. We raised $3,807.07 for the Miracle League. So that was an astounding thing. So thank you all very much. On 9/20 and the 21st, I attended the South Carolina Interscholastic Cycling League races at Biggin Creek Trail. These are middle and high school age girls and boys who competed. There were over 200 participants, and I'm hopeful that they'll return again next year. 10, 4, and 5, I attended the travel ball tournaments at the rec complex, where I informed the parents of things to do in the town of Moncks Corner, places to eat. We had teams from Virginia, Fort Mill, 2 from Georgetown, along with several teams from the Low Country. On 10/7, the police department hosted the National Night Out event. It was a great success, and I would like to thank the police department and the fire department for being out interacting with our citizens. Also on 10/7, I had the pleasure of speaking to the Kappa Kappa Lota Teacher Sorority at the Methodist,
Kappa Kappa Iota.
Iota, I'm sorry.
Never said that.
Iota Teacher Sorority at the Methodist Church. They graciously hosted me with a meal, and I shared updates on current happenings around town. We wrapped up with a lively question and answer session that sparked some great conversations. On 10/15, I went to Columbia for the municipal elected officials advanced training. It was enlightening. Anytime I can get together with a group of elected officials and bounce ideas off each other is a good day. 10/16, I was honored to take part in the Berkeley High School Homecoming Parade. I would like to thank the Moncks Corner Police Department for their outstanding traffic support and to the fire department for joining in the festivities. Your presence helped make the event safe and memorable for everyone. 10/17/2025, I attended the ribbon cutting for yesterday's and today's Unique Treasures. Councilman Dennis and Councilman Sweatman was also in attendance. 10/18/2025, my wife and I were honored to be invited to the wedding of Robert Hobart, one of our dedicated motorcycle officers. Robert does an outstanding job serving the town, and it was a joy to celebrate this special occasion with him and his new bride. 10/19, I attended the Red Ribbon Family Day. I want to thank the Moncks Corner Police Department and Fire Department for attending this event. Also, the Miracle League season wrapped up last week, and what an incredible season it was. I had the privilege of attending many games this year, and it's truly inspiring to see the joy and energy on the field. A special thank you to Matt Fluharty, Director of the Miracle League, whose leadership brought meaningful improvements to the program this year. To the entire recreation staff, your tireless efforts makes this experience unforgettable for our participants and their families. Thank you. To all the volunteer coaches and buddies who showed up with enthusiasm and heart, thank you for making a difference. To Santee Cooper Credit Union, thank you for generously providing medals that made the game feel like a championship. To Cookie Picks, thank you for donating delicious cookies for every game. Your kindness never goes unnoticed. And to Kona Ice, thank you for bringing smiles and sweet treats on opening and closing nights with free Kona Ice for everyone. It truly takes a village to make the Miracle League the best it can be. And I'm honored to spend time with the amazing kids and adults who play and the parents and guardians who support them every step of the way. Some of our future events this Saturday, we have the 2K Steps of Hope. Call time is 6 a.m. and the event starts at 7:30. I will be there. It's a very early event, but it's for a great cause. We also have a flag football event going on at 9 a.m. at the soccer fields right there at the complex. One of our officers is involved with that, and it looks like a fun time. So if you're out and about, come on and do that. Tuesday, October 28th, they're doing a Halloween storefront decorating contest. Check out the town's Facebook page to get the information. Also, on Wednesday, October 29th, we are having our 14th annual Halloween Festival on Main Street. Please come out and join us. And we'll also have our historically haunted depot. So it's going to be $5 ticket, proceeds going to Relay for Life. On the trunk or treat night, it's going to be just donations only. We also have on the 15th of November, Picking in the Corner on Main Street. That's always a fun event to come out to. Friday, December 5th, we have the tree lighting and downtown Christmas festival. And on December 6th at 6 p.m., we will have the Moncks Corner Nighttime Christmas Parade. That's it for my report. Administrator Lord.
Yes, Mayor and Council, it is my honor to introduce to you your new fire chief, Chief James Jackson III. Before I say a few words about Chief Jackson, let me tell you that when we were going through the process, I think we had 18 applications from in-state, out-of-state, all over the place. We had some really highly qualified people to choose from. Chief Jackson stood out even amongst that well-qualified group. So it's an honor to have him here working for the town of Moncks Corner. And I know he's already shining a light everywhere he goes. But a little bit about him. Chief Jackson comes with 25 years of experience. He's held just every role in the fire department, from lieutenant, fire inspector, training officer, fire marshal, instructor, and of course, fire chief. He comes to us with 13 years of fire chief experience, most recently in Chester, South Carolina. He has a degree in fire science and holds over 100 certifications. And I was going to list them for you, but I figured I would save that. He has served as a deputy state fire marshal and is currently the president of the South Carolina State Fire Marshal Association. He's also an EMT and a reserve law enforcement officer. So please help me welcome Chief Jackson.
Good
Chief,
afternoon.
I know you're shy, but do you want to?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. It is a pleasure to be your fire chief. First of all, I want to thank my wife and my children because that's the main part that has supported me through my career. Sharetta is my wife, and then our kids is at home. But we are now officially in Moncks Corner, so I'm very excited about that. My family's moved down here, so I'm not by myself. I got my family with me. And then I want to thank the men and women from the Moncks Corner Fire Department for what they do daily to make our community safe. That is the main part. We are a team. I'm the lead of the team, but we are a team. I'm a team player, and we're part of that. All the accolades and all that, I give that all to the good Lord because he's the one that gave me where I'm at and standing where I'm at today. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I'm at. In 2013, I was the Deputy State Fire Marshal for Moncks Corner, for Berkeley County and Orangeburg County. Wouldn't have never thought that I'd be coming back to be the fire chief, so it's an honor to be your fire chief. And in your packet, Ms. Marilyn put a questionnaire because I want to meet with mayor and council individually. And those 5 questions that's on there, I want to hear your feedback. So as we move forward at the fire department and make this community the best, because like I told my staff, we're going to be number 1. So that's where our policies say on the front. First in Berkeley County, so that's what we're going to strive to be. First in Berkeley County and excellent service. That's all I provide is excellent service. We won't give any substandard service. First in Berkeley and excellent service. So as we go through these questions, if you have any concerns and you don't see excellent service, let me know so we can give excellent service. That's all we're going to provide. So thank you for your time tonight. I'm very excited to be here as we move forward, and we're going to make it the best that we can make it with our men and women that serve this community daily. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, new business, consideration, architectural services for Town Hall and Fire Station 1, Administrator Lord.
Yes, sir. So back in February council meeting, council authorized Creech and Associates to do the master plan for the Fire Station 1 and the renovation of Town Hall. Master plan and the architectural services that could be bid out. So they've completed the master plan process. Y'all reviewed that. And as you know, the result of that master plan process was a reorientation to focus on a new town hall facility. So that requires us to go back and look at the agreement on, architectural services, because adding a whole nother building obviously changes the scope. The new agreement before you uses the same percentage as before based on the estimated cost. But the total before, including, if you remember, it's broken up into 2 sections, a public safety section and then everything else. So those 2 together was $619,000. But with the new building, that number has gone up significantly to $1.224, $1,224,500. Some of this is, again, supported by the grant that we received from Berkeley County for $550,000. It can offset the public safety part of it. So the public safety part of that number is $384,500. The balance of that money would then go toward, the actual work itself. So we have that. This is budgeted money in the budget for this project. And so this is for your approval.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? First reading, consider an annexation, AN-25-02, request for two parcels, TMS 162-00-02-021 and -075, totaling 6.81 acres addressed as 1288 Old Highway 52 to be annexed into the town's corporate limits, seeking to be zoned office and institutional C1. Justin?
Yes, sir. As you mentioned, these are two parcels up for annexation on Old 52. They are currently zoned R1 in the county, which is rural single-family residential. These are the properties in question. You see the big L and the other L kind of dovetailed nicely in there. You have Jiffy Plantation to the north. You have the not all the way shown Abbey Walk subdivision on the other side, northeast corner or northwest corner of the map. And obviously 52, Old 52 running north and south on this. The zoning is, obviously you have R1 to the north in town. You have PDR across the street. You have some commercial along here. It's of note that the applicant does have one of their offices in that purple area, the PDR. So they are looking to kind of expand or relocate some of their services. They're scattered along a couple different properties. So this will consolidate this within the C1 zoning district they're looking for. C1 does include general light commercial uses. That does run the gamut because this cannot be conditionally zoned, or the request is not conditionally zoned. This could run any C1 use while the applicant and their intentions are very clear. Should it be sold, it does not revert back to its original zoning or de-annex from the town. So if it's good for C1 now, it's good for C1 later and vice versa. That being said, staff is generally recommending denial against this because of the comp plan and only because of the comp plan. The comp plan designates this as the single family, as you see in the hatched yellow area in our growth area. We have single family to the north, and obviously you can see some of the remnants on RC Dennis in the top right corner of your screen. There is some commercial in terms of zoning and uses, but it is few and far between in staff's opinion. Old 52 is largely, at least this section of Old 52 is largely residential with some commercial scattered in as opposed to the other way around. That being said, we do feel that it is in harmony with one goals and implementation strategies of the 2024 comp plan to enhance economic opportunities. Staff's concern, as I mentioned, is not persistent with the town character residential land use plan, but it is compatible with one goal. Planning Commission heard this at the last month, and they, I believe it was a 4-2 vote in favor of. Several residents in the community spoke out against the property, but some back and forth, they felt a little bit more comfortable, as I mentioned in my staff report. I'm available for any questions, and I believe the leader of Berkeley Citizens, which is the future tenant, is in the audience. Should you have any questions of her?
I have a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
It's already in the county. Why didn't they just go through the county? Why they want to annex and rezone it to us as a nonprofit? They did that, was that clear to you?
Staff can speculate only, but it's unclear exactly. In working with the county, oftentimes they want to fill in donut holes. I believe this was one of those that we had discussed between myself and my counterpart at Berkeley County of trying to fill in the gaps. But I would direct that question to the applicant for more information.
Is that your only concern, that once the property is rezoned or potentially rezoned to C1, that the applicant will not go through with their plans as presented and then sell it and someone else will be already zoned into building something that may not conform to what we want?
That wrapped up and along with the 2024 comp plan that staff uses as a data point, and it being a residentially future area of the towns conflicts with that right off the bat. But yes, Mr. Sweatman, at the end of the day, staff cannot control who buys and sells this property and how it develops. And again, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't foresee those issues for y'all. Now, whether that may be a real issue or not is up for y'all's discussion and y'all's comfort level, but I cannot guarantee that should something happen in 5, 10, 15 years. I will say that residential development almost never redevelops, commercial does.
That's kind of my concern. We just did the new comprehensive plan in 2024, and here we are in 2025. Are we gonna follow what we say, or are we just gonna change it every time? You know, that's my concern. We laid this out, we put a lot of effort, time, money into creating a comprehensive plan that we should follow.
Again, staff's opinion is one data point. The comp plan is another data point. Y'all are free to make the decisions based on your own cognitions. So I'm just trying to lay it out there for you.
So this property, with what Berkeley Citizens wants to do, if they do not annex into town, they can build it anyway there, correct?
That I do not know. No, sir, not without a rezoning, because it's currently zoned R1 rural residential.
Have to go through zoning at the county.
Have to go through the county zone.
Yeah, I mean, the counties. Okay.
But I hear what you said. Oh, you finished?
No, go.
No, I heard what you said about annexing it and changing it, and in 5 years, it could go to something else. But isn't that a risk that we take anytime we annex property in and rezone it? Or we rezone something?
I don't disagree that it's a risk. I think in this particular case, because of the residential area and the conflict with the comp plan, that risk is significantly higher. For example, if you were to annex a piece of property on US 52 for a commercial entity that is is a benefit to the community, in a couple of years, could that C2 change over to something less desirable? Absolutely. But I think the key point in my analysis here is the conflict of the C1 with the surrounding residential is more impactful than annexing something that is along the same lines of 52 or 17A or similar use types.
So where on that map is Berkeley Citizens located?
I believe they are the pink one directly across the street and to the left.
Which has been there for what, 30 years?
Yes, sir.
How long they been there? 30 years? 40 years?
Yeah.
40?
At least.
Yeah,
He's been there longer than most residents.
that's right.
Have they shared what their intentions are with the property?
Their intentions are to be a training facility, and I can let her speak more to that. She's a wealth of information and knowledge, particularly on what she's going to do, but it's our understanding it's going to be kind of a flex use of office training areas, maybe some storage, things of that nature. Very light impact is the way it was described to planning commission and to staff. Again, can't guarantee that for future tenants, but that is her intent, and staff does take her at her word.
I love what Berkeley Citizens does. I just have an issue with changing our comprehensive plan. You know, if we're annexing and rezoning, you have to look at the bigger benefit of the town. What are we doing it for? What's that bringing to the town? And I just feel like if they can do it in the county, they'll still get what they want, and it doesn't really make a difference. So I'm probably going to be a no on this one because it goes against our comprehensive plan, the only reason.
I'm confused, and maybe you can clarify this, and this is just me. But if that property is not currently in town limits, how is it included in our comprehensive plan?
That's an excellent question. Staff, in an effort, once I got here, we were very cognizant and realized very quickly that the town is willing to grow and has the ability to grow in all different directions. What our comp plan does is only look at the properties currently in the town. That doesn't do us a lot of good with regards to data points and providing your guidance if we don't look beyond our borders, because more often than not, we are going to get more of these requests than rezonings within our borders. So staff wanted to make sure that future growth patterns were identified beyond our corporate limits to help guide y'all with regards to future growth patterns.
Let me add to that. I believe that the state law requires comp plans include a future land use map. So you're supposed to look out and say, okay, if we go in these directions, what's likely to go there?
And how long has the applicant owned that property?
They're under contract. They don't currently own the property.
That's been a residential horse farm for, I imagine, 40 years. I've known the two previous owners. We don't see the house off the road, it's unplanted trees. So I'm listening to what you're saying. would there be other places around town that a C1 is located within a R1 or R2?
It's a possibility. I don't want to say no. It's rare for a couple different facts. One, as you see one property change over, others tend to do a domino effect, as we've seen with 2 requests this past summer along North Live Oak, beyond the railroad tracks, transitioning from R2 to C1, still beyond, within striking distance of R2, but you started seeing the gradual transition of that corridor turning into commercial. 2, also, we do have covenants in our zoning ordinance that protect changing of uses or changing of zoning districts for any property that does not exceed 2 acres or does not directly abut the zoning district to which they want to change to. In this case, obviously, this is over 2 acres, so that's why they're seeing C1. Could it happen? Yes. Does it? It's not often, but it does.
Because I'm looking at some old business here, and we're getting ready to either approve or deny a C1 in a residential area on this agenda. Number 11 on Hetley Street? Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. All right. First reading, an ordinance to amend the Chapter 16, Article of the Town Code, Tree Protection Ordinance to adjust certain processes and mitigation requirements. Justin?
I got this one there.
Oh, Administrator Lord.
All right, so 2 council meetings ago, staff was asked to look at our tree ordinance with concerns that the impact on, homeowners and don't want to be able to cut down trees. So we referred this to the consultants that we've engaged to look at our development ordinances, the UDO, and the tree protection would be part of that. So we just asked them, let's go ahead and look at that now, because this is a pressing issue. So did their analysis looking at neighboring areas. We provided that to y'all at the last council meeting. Then we got some feedback from you. And then, so what's before you is an attempt to meet the feedback that we received, that to both lighten the load on single-family residential, but at the same time, maintain the integrity of the tree ordinance. So there's lots of small changes in here, because just since we're in here messing with it, we figure we'll correct some things to just kind of clean it up and simplify it. So simplicity is the number one thing. We cut out redundant language, or some things that we have in practice not seen being useful. So you'll see a lot of red strikes through here just because we're trying to simplify the ordinance. But the meat of it is the change would be, right now, if somebody needs to get a permit for any flowering tree over 2 inches or any other tree over 10 inches. And if they need to cut it down and it does not qualify for mitigation, then they have to either plant a tree based on a calculation or pay into the tree fund if they would rather do that. Now, the reasons that they would not pay for mitigation includes things like this is a dead tree, it's a hazardous tree, it's too many trees together for the health of the tree stand. So I believe there's 8 different reasons why. And so the proposal here, what it does is it adds to the reasons why you would not pay mitigation, that if it's any tree less than a grand tree on a single-family residential lot. So if it's an existing single-family residential and they're not trying to develop it, you got somebody living there and they want to cut some trees in their yard, if it's less than a grand tree, they could cut it. They still have to have a permit because we still have to go out and make sure it's not a grand tree. But there would be no mitigation for it. We also changed the definition of a grand tree. The current definition of a grand tree is any tree greater than 24 inches, 24 inches or greater. But because we have different standards for flowering trees are protected at 2 inches, where other trees are protected at 10 inches. So we said a grand tree is a flowering tree over 10 or any other tree 24 or more. So we added that protection, additional protection for flowering trees, but then we made it so that all the other trees could be cut with a permit but not require mitigation. Also, there was brought up concern about, developers being able to come in and clear cut a neighborhood, but because our ordinance allowed them to not mitigate anything that was in the footprint of a planned development, they weren't paying for those trees. And so we moved that section also into the category of single-family residential not for development. So only single-family residential, currently, single-family residential properties will qualify for that. And so going forward, any of these developments would have to either, hopefully add to the trees that they put in and over and above the required landscaping. Or they could pay into the tree fund. Of course, our preference is they plant the trees. But, so this was what we thought based on all the feedback we had. It equally addressed the issue of the impact on, the homeowner who wants to cut some trees in their yard, but it also maintains the integrity of the tree ordinance. And so with this change, the only reason a homeowner would need to pay mitigation is if they're cutting a grand tree just because, for no other reason. They're not, if it's not in the footprint of the planned building or driveway, if it's not dead, diseased, or dying, if it's not hazardous, and, all those other 8 reasons. So, presented to you for your consideration.
Let's start, do I have a motion? We'll get to the discussion.
I'm going to do a motion to approve with discussion.
Okay, and I have a second. Any discussion?
So Jeff, let me get this straight. So we are still, if it's a grand tree over 24 inches, and that does not distinguish or discriminate between any grand tree. So it could be a 24-inch live oak, it could be a 24-inch gum tree, a 24-inch pine tree. So we're saying all of those still have to be reviewed by the town.
Any tree that's, a permit's required for any flowering tree over 2 inches or any other tree over 10 inches. So that requires a permit.
Okay.
The grand tree comes in when you're talking about, do they pay mitigation or not? Do they have to mitigate or not? Do they have to plant trees back or not? And so what this does, it still has the permit process because we still have to make sure that it's not exceeding the requirement, because somebody could say, oh, it wasn't a grand tree, and, all there's a stump, and there's no way for us to know whether or not. So a permit gives us the ability to go out and go, yep, that's a 13-inch tree, have at it.
But if it's hazardous, dead,
In the footprint.
or in the footprint of construction, there's no mitigation for that.
Correct. That's current.
I like the work that's been done, and I really do. My heartburn is still that we're requiring property owners to do something to their property. i.e., I'm gonna pick on Corey because he's staring right at me. Corey needs to cut a tree down in his yard, or wants to because of whatever. Maybe it's a play set that's not in the footprint of construction. It's a play set for a child. Now he's got to come up here, go before council, go before planning commission, wait on someone to go out there, look at this tree, go back and forth, and pay a professional company to come cut it down because he's at risk of dropping this tree on a neighbor's car or house. Then he's got to pay that fee plus the permit fee. Now he's got to potentially go down to Lowe's, Home Depot, or Site One and buy 2 or 3 trees. I just don't buy that.
In the example you just gave, that would only be true if it was a grand tree. If it's not a grand tree, he would apply for it, we would go out, look at it, say, permit, and they can cut it down.
But if it's outside and it's a pine tree, I think we can all agree
Pine-
that
pine
nobody's
trees.
gonna go back and go, I'm gonna miss this pine tree here, I'll plant one right beside it.
Pine trees are one of the things that do not require mitigation.
Gum trees?
No, pine trees is the only species called out. But if it's a grand tree, is the only reason it would have to go to the planning commission, it would have to go to y'all if they appeal it. If it's anything less than a grand tree, staff can issue the permit right there.
All right, I don't know which way everybody's gonna go, but I'm gonna reiterate my motion to approve contingent upon the amendment that the grand tree only includes live oaks. That's my motion.
Versus the 24
Yeah, your grand tree,
grand tree, yeah.
it's gotta be a 24-inch live oak or greater.
Or greater.
Otherwise, the citizens have control to do with their property what they want.
I don't like calling a pine tree a grand tree.
Yeah, and that's why I would say grand tree is only, we call it,
Well, to your point, pine trees are free. There's no grand tree, pine tree. Pine trees are, by definition, you can cut without mitigation. You can have it,
Wherever it may lie on my piece of property, I can cut it.
if you had a 100-inch pine tree, you can cut it, no problem.
citizens don't have to come up here for that, but they would potentially have to come up for,
They still have to get a permit. There has to be somebody to go out and go, yeah, that's a pine tree.
So what's the permit fee? I mean, seriously.
$10?
I know I have what's considered a grand magnolia tree right in my front yard, beautiful tree. I mean, I just would hate to see it clear cut. We say we don't want to tell the citizens what to do, then why do we make them get permits to do building add-ons? Why do we get them to get permits to do anything? I mean, if we go into that mentality, then we're at the wild, wild west. Everyone does what they want. I would hate to see lots totally clear cut just because you can. I mean, I got some beautiful pictures when we lived in Moss Grove before they developed of these beautiful oak trees that are not there no more. I mean, I'm not a tree hugger by nature, but I do think we need to have some sort of checks and balance of go out. I think it's pretty broad that if it's in the footprint or if it's dead, diseased, I mean, we're not here to harass anybody. We'll work with them, but just to let them take everything but an oak tree seems pretty broad to me.
and to your point, I mean, your tree in your yard that you referenced is your tree.
Right.
You don't have to cut it down. You don't have, I'm not saying that people have to go cut down every tree in their yard because of this amendment. But I also, going back to the building codes and inspection, I think we have a duty to our citizens to inspect the building process of their homes and stuff like that. But the tree ordinance to me, and I understand, my thing is, if a citizen owns their property and they feel the need or the desire to take down something on their property, it's their property that they're paying property taxes on. A $10 fee isn't making or breaking the town over anything. And probably more so than anything, it's tying up our staff looking at a $10 tree when they can be looking at a $5 million development or a $10 million building that's going up or whatever else. That's where I'm going with it. My methodology is simplify the process and take the burden off the taxpayer. My motion stands unless anyone else has an amendment or objection to it, or would like to make another motion on something I missed.
All right, we have a motion made by Councilman Sweatman. Do I have a second on his motion?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. All right. I think I've had more no's tonight than I've had my whole time on council, so.
Mayor, I don't think we're clear on the vote.
Oh, it was, I'm a no and everyone else was a yes.
Your motion.
My motion to approve was under the condition of amending the grand tree requirement to only be that of a live oak of 24 inches or greater. Everything else that a citizen has on their property, if they feel the need to take it down for construction hazard or whatever else, they do not need to come apply for a permit.
But that's two different things,
How so?
because the requirement for mitigation, but you still have to have a permit. If somebody has a 13-inch tree that they need to cut down, then we still have to verify that it's the right size to be able to do it. If there's no way for us to know whether or not, because every tree's a live oak.
Yeah, and my whole point was to do away with the mitigation side. If they take down a 10-inch pine tree in their yard,
So
they're not coming to get a
mitigation side.
permit, and they're not required to plant
Okay.
another pine tree back or whatever.
Okay, I think we're talking about two different things. Getting a permit and mitigation are two separate things. And so if we get rid of mitigation, they still have to get a permit because we still have to verify it qualifies to be cut down.
Be cut down.
Okay,
Mitigation. Is that your intent?
it's clear as mud.
Thank you.
Marilyn, are you?
Are you as confused as I am?
Look at that. Look at it.
I think I know what to do with it, but the vote was 6-5?
Yeah.
All right.
I think 1-5.
All right, now, first reading, a master bond ordinance of the town of Moncks Corner, South Carolina, providing for the issuance and sale of stormwater system revenue bonds and other matters relating thereto. Administrator Lord?
Yes, sir. So, in the budget this year, we have the issuance of stormwater bonds, and the stormwater bonds are to come up with the match for the NRCS grant for the work in the California branch, to purchase a Menzie muck, and for other system improvements that are identified in the stormwater plan. So, real quick, so revenue bonds, these are bonds that are secured by a system. This is not general obligation bonds. And so for any of these, you're talking about utilities. It could be a water utility, electric utility. In this case, it is a stormwater utility. And so the revenues of the system are applied to pay these bonds. You have to show that you have sufficient revenue to be able to do it. And there is no legal debt limit. It doesn't apply to the GO debt limit that we have for our general obligation bonds. There's no legal debt limit, but obviously there is a practical debt limit in that you can't borrow money that you can't pay back. So that limitation is there. You can structure it however you want to, but you cannot go beyond 40 years. So you have two ordinances in front of you. One is the master ordinance, and that lays out the specifications for how we would do revenue bonds from the stormwater fund. And then that will stay, and then whenever you want to issue bonds, you do a series. Okay, so the two ordinances is the master and then the series, and then in the future, if you ever wanted to do this again, you would only do the series because the master ordinance would remain. So, this just tells you where that comes from. All those, the rules that apply to future issuances, including this one, are set out in that first ordinance. And that way, when a bond is borrowing money, but it's not borrowing money like you go to the bank and get a note. You're issuing these bonds, and it sets the rules for those bonds. Otherwise, we would go to a bank and then have to negotiate terms with this one, and the terms are different. So what we do is we say, these are the terms. Different banks tell us what you're willing to do under these terms. So that's what the master ordinance does. So the key provisions is that we would be pledging the stormwater fees to the bondholders. Additional bonds test, so we could not issue more bonds unless we had at least 20% coverage. So we're saying that not only are we pledging the revenues, but we're pledging we're not going to keep borrowing on the same money. So we're going to have that coverage that's required. You have a rate covenant, so you can't issue the bonds and then turn around and say, well, we're going to cut all rates, because they're issuing the bonds based on the fact that you're collecting the revenue. So you're saying that you're going to have sufficient revenue to be able to pay this going forward. It creates funds, so this will be a separate fund. We currently have a stormwater fund, but this will be a separate fund. So we won't have any intermingling of, we're not getting this money so we can pay operations, right? It's not going to be mixed in. It's going to be a separate fund so that the bondholders know that the money is only going to those things specifically identified in the bond ordinance. And then it lays out, what remedies they have, if the town should default on it. So all that's laid out in that ordinance. It does not pledge full faith and credit. That would be a GO bond. It only says that we will pay it if the revenue is there. Of course, the revenue comes from the stormwater fee, so the revenue will be there, but it lays out what happens if it should not. And then it gives the town flexibility, so we can pay the expenses from other funds and then reimburse those funds from the stormwater bond. And so, for instance, the Moncks that we're purchasing, if we've placed the order for it, it comes in beforehand, before the bond is issued, which is not likely, but if it does, then we could pay for that out of existing funds and then reimburse those existing funds, as long as it's for the purposes identified in the bond ordinance. And so what's in there is for system improvements, expansions. We can use it, we can refinance the bonds if rates get better, so we can use the funds to pay off the issuance so we can refinance them. And then, of course, pay for the cost of issuance is tied up into the bond. So then you go to the series, which is the second ordinance, and this is the specific borrowing. And so in this case, it lays out, what's the purpose of the issuance, what is it not to exceed amount, how will the proceeds be disposed of, and then it gives, of course, the mayor and I the authority to sign the documents to issue the bonds. And so for this issuance, it's an amount not to exceed $3.75 million, and it's to, defray or reimburse the cost of, it says excavator machinery, that's the Moncks, acquiring real property and restoring watersheds, that's the NRCS grant along the California branch, as well as drainage improvements in various areas, included but not limited to, of course, Elijah, Coaxum, Haynesville. These were all other projects that were identified in the stormwater study that we do not currently have funding for. And so now we aren't limited to that. So, if there's a need to do stormwater work in another part of town, you could use these funds to do that if you so choose. Of course, it makes the required findings and the covenants, and again, authorizes the mayor and I to sign the paperwork. The schedule is, of course, we have the first reading of the two ordinances tonight. That passes, then we would send the RFPs out on the 30th. We would complete the second reading on the 18th, and of course, the bids would come in right after that, and then we would issue the bonds, and then we'd have the revenue available for the projects that are in your budget. If you have any questions, I will try to answer them, but at the next reading, we will have bond counsel here who can maybe answer more specific questions.
I got a question. Could you explain that in layman's terms? How does this affect the rate that we just increased for stormwater? That under my understanding, we were doing it for residentials for 66 for the year, not businesses.
And so what you changed is the ERU rate from 36 to 66. Right?
For residential.
No, that's for the equivalent residential unit. And so every resident, basically, when the stormwater utility was established, they did a study, and they said, all right, the average residence in town, I'm gonna make up a number, has 1,500 square foot of impervious surface. And so we're not gonna go and say, well, this house is gonna pay this much and this house is gonna pay that much. We're gonna put all houses under an equivalent residential unit.
Okay.
So that 1,500 square foot. But for businesses, then you look at a business, and if that business, is 15,000 square feet, then you would say, well, that's 100 ERUs. That's 100 equivalent residential units. So it would be 100 times the 66. And so that ERU rate applies across the board, but it applies equally to all homes, all residences, but it applies to each business based on their actual impervious surface. All right, so the fee increase that you approved for the budget is specifically for this bond issuance. And it's for 10 years.
Okay.
And the bank set the rate that we pay as far as interest.
Yeah, so we will put the RFP out, and then the banks will come back to us, and, this bank will say, we'll do it for this percent, and of course, we'll go with the most advantageous offer.
And my last question is the stormwater fees that were implemented and increased to offset that, they are now becoming dedicated funds,
Yes.
but we're not using 100% of that stormwater collection fee on that tax bill for this. I mean, there's still other money for our stormwater department to have for
You are
normal.
basically using all of that increased revenue towards this.
Okay, so that's where it's going for.
Yeah, there's a little margin, because of the coverage.
Yeah.
But yes, this is going, the increase that you approved is going toward this bond issuance.
Okay. So the little fine print that I didn't see when we were discussing the budget about the businesses was in there. Correct?
I mean, we discussed the equivalent resident ERU.
Resident, not business. I'm confused, okay? I'm confused. When we did the budget, I thought we were talking about residential from, what was it, 36 to 66 per year?
Yes.
But not, I didn't see anything in there word-wise that said we were talking about businesses going up with that factor, what you're saying with the ERU.
Right, you cannot increase one without increasing the other.
Oh, well, we need to drop it back then. 'Cause we killing these businesses,
I'm concerned about the small businesses.
yeah.
Well, I think it's the hens out in the hen house now. I mean, this is in the tax bills.
Oh, I
This is
know, I know.
a done deal. I look at it like this, after last year's flooding, I went to the town administrator and said, what can we do so we don't have this again? Because we had the flooding in 2015 at the 1,000-year flood, and we had the flooding last year to where, I was at the emergency shelter while they was bringing people in, that they was rescuing in John boats. What can we do to fix this? This is a problem that is probably 40 years in the making. California branch is falling apart. The original sandbags are caving in. That's why, the administrator went to find the funds. We need 20% match. So this project is desperately needed. And I'll tell the citizens of the town of Moncks Corner, put the blame on me if you want to put the blame on someone, because I pushed it hard, because we need this. If you don't fix this now and you just put it off, eventually it's going to collapse in different places, and we're going to have a bigger mess, and we're not going to have $18 million available from the federal government that we have now. So I understand a fee is a tax, but if we don't fix the problems that we have and push it off to the next generation, then it's only going to get worse. So, I push for this. I think we need this, and I will take whatever heat anybody wants to give. My phone number's on the website. Please call me, and I'll explain it to you. So,
I don't disagree that we need to fix California branch.
100%.
I do not disagree with that at all. I disagree with how we're affecting some small businesses that could be potentially struggling. And then we just hit them with something that they didn't plan for in their budget, and now it's just showing up. We didn't warn them about it or anything. They get their tax bill, and then they're, what is this? That's where I have the heartburn with it. But I agree with fixing California brand. I'm concerned about small business.
Yeah, the only thing I can say is without another revenue source, you don't have the ability to match the grants to do the work in the branch that needs to be done.
So where do we go from here?
You either approve the first reading of the bond ordinances and we proceed to try to get these projects done, or you don't, but you still are collecting the fees.
Right.
That's right.
That we were misunderstood on, but that's fine.
And I didn't realize this was gonna go on for how long? 10 years?
It's a 10-year bond as well.
10-year bond.
What happens at the end of that 10?
Well, then
Do we have the ability to reduce the
Absolutely.
stormwater fee? I mean, it can sunset at that point.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we're not gonna treat it like some of these South Carolina road projects where you got that 1% penny tax, it just never goes away.
Never goes away.
Never
But if
goes
we're able to pay
away,
for it in 3 years, we can,
or if we pay for it early.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. It needs to be done. This has plagued this community for a long time. It's wreaked havoc on roads, houses, drainage systems, erosion, everything else. The time is now. If we don't do it, it's only gonna get worse. And as the mayor said, it's not gonna be $18 million 5 years from now. It
No,
might
it's
be-
not.
It's gonna be 25 million. And then where are we? So
And I kind of look at it like this. This is our community coming together to do a project that's much needed. You know, I pay school taxes. I do not have a child in school, but it's my obligation to do it as a citizen. So, I mean, I hate raising anything. I am not a big tax increase person. But as you says, if we don't do it now and we have a collapse where we have to do an emergency, fix, we are not going to have the money. And then what are we going to do? We're going to raise property taxes. We're going to have to fund it somehow. I think this, for now, is the best possible scenario that we is able to get the $18 million to fix it now. And hopefully, we don't worry about it for the next, hopefully, 75 to 100 years. So, and that's where I'm at. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
To second? Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? First reading, a series ordinance of the town of Moncks Corner, South Carolina, providing for the issuance and sale of stormwater system revenue bonds in the aggregate principal amount of not exceeding $3,750,000 and providing for other matters relating thereto. Administrator Lord?
This is the second
Oh.
ordinance.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Old business, second reading and public hearing, consider a zoning map amendment, ZA-25-05, request for a parcel TMS 142-07-01-002, totaling under 10,000 square feet, located at 111 Hetley Street. The parcel is requesting to be zoned office and institutional C1. Justin?
Yes, sir. We're gonna do these a little tandem because these next two requests are back to back. This one is totaling about 10,000 square feet, 111. The next one will be 111A. We will need separate motions on each. Hopefully, I believe we've set up the PowerPoint to do that. They currently are zoned single-family R2. These are the properties. One of the reasons why, as you might have noticed, on 10,000 square feet, as I mentioned earlier on a previous request, that you could do C1 if it was adjacent to a similar C1 use or 2 acres. It can also be C1 if it's adjacent to a commercial zoning district, which across the street of Hatley Street is all either C2 or its transitional district, which is actually defined as commercial. As you can see, that light yellow there is transitional district. So in a roundabout way, it's an extension of a commercial zoning district across Hetley. And as you can see, obviously, as you go down Hetley, as it turns into Altman, I believe, at the railroad tracks, it's progressively becoming more of downtown feel. So obviously, the proximity of 17A coincides with that. The big large tract to the left of that is Casaba Meadows, which is a 37-home subdivision currently under construction. And then you have Red Electric in the bottom left hand of that screen. The request is C1, office institutional. The hope is that this gets picked up as a office tenant. Obviously, we see a lot of these along 17A North Live Oak, where people are converting their single-family homes that are on 17A into offices, lawyers, surveyors, things of that nature. And so that's kind of what this request is hoping to do. There's no actual tenants in line, to my knowledge. The property owners are just trying to get a change of pace, so to speak. So that office institutional would allow that. The comp plan does not align exactly with that with regard to the future land use map. However, there is, and you can't see it right there, there is a 1,000-foot buffer called the Highway Corridor Overlay in the future land use map that this property, both of these properties lie within, which is essentially to spur small growth, large where you can, but small infill commercial districts, again, per the future land use map. It doesn't represent on this map quite as bit, as much as I'd like, but it is in there, that highway commercial overlay, 1,000-foot buffer. It is harmonious with two established goals and limitations of the strategy: economic opportunities as well as reestablish downtown. Again, as we see, Hetley is moving closer to 17A as the growth is coming that way for commercial. So at this point, staff is concerned that it's not consistent with town character residential, as we try to be consistent. However, it is compatible with the mixed-use overlay or the highway commercial overlay. And C1 obviously is intensifying commercial nature of Hetley Street, and we feel that's compatible. Staff recommended approval. Planning Commission did the same. This is the second reading. I know Miss Christine Hancock is in the audience and available for any questions should you have any, and she is the first of the two requests tonight.
Okay. All right. At this time, we'll open up a public hearing. Is anyone here to speak on this project? Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Second reading and public hearing, consider a zoning map amendment ZA-25-06, request for a parcel TMS 142-07-01-001 totaling under 13,800 square foot, located at 111A Hetley Street. The parcel is requesting to be zoned office and institutional C1. Justin?
Yes, sir. Same song, different verse. Again, 10,000 square foot parcel, now adjacent to C1. Different applicant, obviously, but again, in tandem, they could potentially produce something a little larger in hopes of commercial development. Staff recommended approval. Planning Commission did the same.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Justin.
Yes, sir.
Second reading and public hearing, consider an annexation AN-25-03 request for a parcel TMS 122-00-01-013 totaling under 13.2 acres addressed as 468 Nelson Ferry Road to be annexed into the town's corporate limits, seeking to be zoned light industrial M1. Justin?
Yes, sir. This is the home telecom property on Nelson Ferry. It's up for sale. The applicant, I believe it's Greenbrier Developments out of New York, I believe, are seeking to annex this into the town, and they are seeking to use and find compatible uses to what's already out there, right? So there's a couple different buildings. Obviously, with home telecom, it was, I believe there's some old gas tanks and some fill-up stations. There's some maintenance yards as well as some maintenance facilities, and I believe even a fleet maintenance building. But regardless, it's on Nelson Ferry. It's across the street from the Jonco property, which backs up. You can see the Walmart at the top right corner. Obviously, the 5217A split down to the south. Property is surrounded by C2 zoning. This is seeking an LI, or light industrial M1, I think it's called, light industrial zoning district, which falls in line with the uses that have been out there, as well as the uses that the applicant has made clear to staff they intend to try to recruit out there, different businesses, smaller operations that can, they're looking at multiple businesses on the same property to use the different buildings. Again, I believe they're an audience, so they could expound upon that more. Light industrial, again, warehousing, distribution, storage, processing, and the like. So it does fall in line with what's out there. It does fall in line with what's been there, and the hopes of the applicant to reestablish. It is highlighted as town character residential. However, again, and it doesn't do a good job of representing on this, but most of that property is within that 1,000-foot highway commercial overlay. So staff is cognizant of the fact that this is, for the most part, a commercially, residentially zoned area, particularly the south, and cognizant of that neighborhood, that established neighborhood. However, it being not expanded upon and used as it already has been for several years, several decades actually, staff feels that it's actually probably beneficial to keep it the way it is as opposed to expanding it in another way. We feel that it is in harmony with one goal implementation strategy for economic opportunity. Staff did have concerns that low intensity clean industrial uses to remain, hopefully at the time of the request, that's the goal. We feel it's not consistent with town character mixed use, but it is with the highway commercial overlay, as I mentioned, and it does promote several service type uses, which are permitted by right within one. Staff recommends approval, so did the Planning Commission, and this is the second reading. I believe the applicants are in the audience, should you have any questions of them, and I'm available as well.
Okay. All right, let's open it up for a public hearing. Is anyone here to talk about this project? Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? No one signed up for public input. Executive session, we need a motion to go into executive session to discuss contractual matters related to the expansion of public safety facilities. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? We are now in executive session. That was a longer meeting than I thought. Got a blue. You got a black pen?
I got a blue one.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to go out of executive session and reconvene to the regular meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We're back in regular session. Council is out of executive session. No action was taken during executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.